am sure, like me, when you have said the word narcissist, or that your ex is a narcissist, your mum's a narcissist, your dad's a narcissist, whoever that may be, you have got the eye rolling. Oh, not that word again. Or just you get that sense that they're thinking, oh, not somebody else who's saying that their ex is a narcissist, or they're this or they're that. And you feel really, really diminished in your statement about the person being a narcissist. And for me, I think there's a number of things that are at play here. So one of the things is that we have medicalized narcissistic personality disorder. So I know certainly for me, and I have been asked this so many times over the years, did your husband have a diagnosis? Now, this for me is a question that really diminishes my experiences. And obviously, when I'm telling somebody the behavior of my ex-husband, you know, if you went to somebody and told them that you had cancer or you had flu, they wouldn't say, well, have you had a diagnosis? You know, they wouldn't actually say that sentence. And for some reason, when we talk about abusive relationships, all of a sudden people think it's acceptable to ask those types of questions when you are being vulnerable in that moment. Now, when we have actually medicalized narcissistic personality disorder, this brings up a number of issues. To actually get the diagnosis, there is a book called the DSM, which is the Diagnostical and Statistical Manual. Try saying that with your teeth in. And it's basically a book that was written, and we're on DSM-5 at the moment, and they're always updating it every so often. And what they do is they list a ton of symptoms for lots of different things, and then the label, the diagnostic term for those number of symptoms or traits that are in the DSM. Now, for narcissistic personality disorder, in the DSM, they list 9 traits. One of those is showing lack of empathy, for instance. And to get a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, somebody would have to exhibit 5 or more of those traits. Now, I am sure as you're listening to this, you're already starting to see the flaws in all of this. Now, I have a narcissistic trauma-informed coaching certification that I teach. And we look at things not necessarily from a traits perspective. We look at it from protector part. So I do internal family systems in the work that I do. And I go through with my students over 35 traits, if you want to call that, or protector parts of an individual that we would then call a narcissist. Now, if you imagine, if there are only 9, so here comes the fun bit now. If there are only 9, that means in that hour's appointment, or even if somebody is seeing maybe a psychiatrist regularly, that the narcissist will need to exhibit them in that moment, in that session. Now, I know, even as I'm saying this, like me, you're thinking, okay, there's a number of flaws here. The first flaw, you got to get them in the office to get a diagnosis in the first place. How many narcissists do you know that go, oh, I think I'm a narcissist. I need to go and get a diagnosis. And they go and book an appointment. They go and see somebody. They talk to them about how abusive they are to others. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, you have 7 of these traits. Now you have your diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah, we know where that's going, right? I know if I said to my ex, hey, let's go and see, I think you might have narcissistic personality disorder. Let's go and see. My ex wouldn't have said, oh, okay then, let's go, let's make the appointment. His response would have been, well, I haven't got that. You know, the only reason I behave the way I have in some respects is because you did this or you did that. 0 ownership or responsibility. So there's your first flaw, getting them even to admit that they're doing something wrong to go and get a diagnosis. The problem being is narcissists do not take any ownership or responsibility, meaning then when you have these conversations about a diagnosis or getting them to understand they're a narcissist, of course, they're going to completely project that outwardly. I'm not a narcissist. You're a narcissist. You know, how many of you have been called the narcissist yourself? You know, I get asked this question all of the time. Maybe I'm the narcissist. And if you're ever thinking and asking yourself if you are the narcissist, please know you're not, because no narcissist would ever have that conversation for themselves. You know, they just wouldn't. So I want you to know that if you are asking yourself if you're the narcissist, by nature of that question means you are not, because no narcissist, I mean, think of the narcissist in your life. Can you imagine them ever questioning themselves if they're that? So we have a number of flaws here. One, the narcissist doesn't take any ownership or responsibility to even think that they would need to go and see a therapist. Now, the caveat here is because some narcissists do go to therapy. They do see a psychiatrist. And the reason why they do that is cognitively, they know if they go, they can manipulate the therapist in those sessions to almost then triangulate you with the therapist or the professional to try and make you look bad. So they might go in and take some ownership cognitively to get their supply needs met, but never to the extent where they will take total ownership of the abuse that they have had over you and that you have had to experience. They just won't do that. So there are so many complex layers. So the problem being is, for many of us, when we do start talking about narcissistic abuse, is because there is a medicalization of that, and because narcissists won't admit they are and don't get a diagnosis, if we imagine that maybe 6% of the population could potentially be narcissists, the likelihood is it's a lot more than that. That if you are saying, I think my ex or my mom or my dad is a narcissist, we need to listen. The word narcissist is not for the narcissist. The word narcissist is so the survivor, people like yourself, know that it's not your fault and know that they won't heal and they cannot be cured. So you can start to focus on yourself and your healing with all of this, because so many of us feel like, oh, I'll try this, I'll do this. Maybe they'll change. They've had a wounded childhood, which is all true. The problem being is there's no scientific evidence. That doesn't mean I wouldn't love them to change or work with them if I thought in any way I could help them heal. But you can't help somebody who doesn't take any ownership or responsibility. And the other problem I have with this is when we start to talk about domestic abuse, we never get these types of questions. If you say to somebody, you've been in a relationship where you have been abused by a narcissist, you don't get the same level of questioning if it was from a domestically abusive relationship. Yet, narcissistic abuse is a form of domestic abuse. It's an insidious form of psychological, emotional, financial abuse. Yes, there can be physical abuse that can become part of a narcissistic relationship, but often narcissists are even more manipulative and covert around this, and you don't end up with bruises externally anyway. So one of the key things that I am going to be working on moving forward is really shouting loudly, even more than I already do, about narcissistic abuse, but it's actually a form of domestic abuse, because we need to stop separating them both. Narcissistic abuse is domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is trauma. Trauma is what we hold on to because we're being abused by somebody. Now, if that somebody happens to be a narcissist, we should not feel shame about naming that person to be a narcissist because they are not taking any ownership or responsibility. Now, some are in domestically abusive relationships, and people do take ownership and responsibility of the abuse that they are perpetrating. There are many perpetrator programs that are around, and some, not all, because let's be honest, there are a lot of narcissists who do commit domestic abuse, but there are some that will take some ownership. They are not narcissists. They will look to do their own work around this. They will accept that they have been abusive in a relationship. That is very different to a narcissist. And again, you can still get narcissists saying that they accept their behavior, but absolutely they don't, because they're doing that to get the narcissistic supply or get somebody off their back. Maybe they've been ordered to by a court to attend, a perpetrator program, for instance, and, they are just admitting it to get through a program, and then they go back to committing abuse, which sadly happens to many, many people as well. but there will be some small proportion that will go through maybe perpetrator programs, will take ownership, will take responsibility, but a narcissist won't. This is why I will keep shouting louder about it. You know, we need to understand narcissistic abuse is domestic abuse. The problem being with a narcissist is there's no ownership or responsibility. It doesn't diminish the abuse that you have experienced. In fact, it heightens it, because they will go off and they will start to say things with smear campaigns, start to get what we call flying monkeys, where people will believe them over you. And often that's for two reasons. One, they're too scared of the narcissist themselves. And the other reason could be because they may believe them because they're that good. Remember? We got sucked in by them as well. I want you to know, please keep using that word, you know, because the more we all keep using that word, the more I get people to listen to my podcast, watch my YouTube videos, go and follow me on Instagram or Facebook. The more people are educated around narcissism, and that doesn't mean we need to be really like, oh, narcissistic abuse, narcissist. We can talk in a measured, educated, academic way about narcissism, about abuse, about narcissistic abuse, and the correlation with it being domestic abuse. It just means it's domestic abuse by a person we call a narcissist, to recognize they don't take any ownership, so that the survivor knows it is not their fault, so that we can then focus on your healing, because that's what is in a really, really important part of that. I would love you to let me know. So either drop me a message on Instagram here, drop me an email, hello@carolinestrawson.com. Are you with me on this? Are you with me on talking even more loudly about narcissistic abuse? Are you with me on talking loudly and educating people that narcissistic abuse is a form of domestic abuse? It is. And that the reason we need to talk about it more, because when we talk about domestic abuse, if you are being domestically abused by a narcissist, it is even more challenging, because they don't take any ownership and they can manipulate so many people. They manipulate, you know, child services, the court system, you know, family members even. They're very, very good. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. So I want you to know that I hear you. I will not stop. I will keep going talking about this as well, because the more I can educate people around this means we parent differently, and our next generation will then parent differently again. Because remember, narcissists are formed in childhood, they're not born. So the more we can help others heal themselves, meaning we can parent in a more connected and loving way, meaning we won't create narcissists in the future. Now, I know that it's a pipe dream, because I'm sure it's still going to happen, but you know what? I'm up for that challenge, and I am going to keep trying as hard as I possibly can with this too. So make sure you keep coming and listening to my podcast. Come on this journey with me, be part of my community and family, because I want you to know I am not quietening down. In fact, I'm going to be talking even more loudly about this, because narcissistic abuse is domestic abuse. So take care. I hope that made sense to you. Let's shout loudly together, you know, in a calm, academic, professional way, so more people learn, more people heal, and it reaches people like yourself that maybe, you know, yesterday, last week, last year, never even understood narcissistic abuse, but now you know it's not your fault. There is hope, and you can move from post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic growth. Mwah! Take care, everybody, and I'll see you on the next episode.